Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Flow TV. I am just so excited today because I have a teacher, a colleague, a friend on with us today, Regina Thomaschauer of Mama Gena's School of the Womanly Arts, because she's got a new book out that I have read several times. And I just want to put the cover up here so y'all can see it. Yes, you're reading that right. The book is called Pussy. And and we have some exciting news. Regina, welcome. You want to say
Yes.
hi to everybody?
First of all, thank you so much for having me
Oh,
on your show and just the fun of connecting with you and being
wow.
able to talk about this book, which is now a brand new New York Times bestseller.
Yes.
Woo!
Amazing.
Just, it gives me chills to think about the fact that it says pussy in the bestseller
I mean,
lists of
I,
the New
I,
York Times.
I
Like,
mean, this is one of the reasons. I mean, about among many that I wanted to have you come and talk to the Flow community because this is historical. This is
yeah,
unprecedented.
yeah.
Anything that has that word on it has been co-opted by pornography, typically, And for you to have been so courageous to publish a book with a mainstream publisher that not only, I mean, and again, I truly love this book. I think it's a must read for every woman. So substantive, so deep, so personal, so academic. But to have done it and made the New York Times bestseller list to really, truly, I mean, the subtitle of the book is A Reclamation. To truly have
Yeah.
done that is really, this is like women's history making moment.
Yeah, it's a reclamation for sure. And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful, first of all, that Hay House, my publisher,
Yes.
went along with my caper
Mhm.
because when I began writing the book, I thought there's no way I can call a book pussy. And then I was very soon recognized that there was no way I could not call the book pussy.
Amen.
It's an expletive for sure, but just like any expletive used effectively, it serves as a wake up call
Hmm.
to an ignored, maligned. You couldn't have a word that's more pejorative. It's if you call a man a pussy, you're insulting his
Right.
manhood and
Right.
his masculinity. And if you call a woman a pussy, you're objectifying her, you're putting her down, and it pussy is actually, well, in addition to being the most maligned, defiled, abused, ignored, misunderstood aspect of the feminine,
Mm.
it's the source of life. None of us would exist if it weren't for a pussy. So it's my effort to restore this word to its sacred value and to
Mm.
have it be the highest possible honor rather than the most negative slur
And
against humanity.
I mean, I think on a global scale, that is the most noble act. And but also on the personal, most intimately personal level, what reading this book can do for a woman, I think, is enormous.
Yeah.
Let's talk about why. Oh, go ahead.
I just was going to say that even going into Barnes and Noble or
Right.
uh, and asking for pussy
Excuse me.
is,
Can I have the pussy book?
you know,
Where's my pussy?
yeah, people have been sending me videos of themselves asking clerks for a copy of Pussy and saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but Pussy is sold out. It's on back order." Or they'll, copies of them reading Pussy when they're on the subway, and
Yes,
it's just like the best thing on earth. It's
that's
just everyone gets to participate in the reclamation just in the act of going to the
and
store and
just
trying to
thinking
get it.
about the ripple effects of how, throngs of thousands and thousands of women now that it's a New York Times bestseller are buying this book, reading this book. What kind of shifts that might cause for women in areas of the world where, the light is a little less bright? And I love that that's the dedication in your
Yeah.
book, because I think that is so needed. So let's talk about why pursuing pleasure is the most radical thing a woman can do and why it shouldn't be?
Well, women have been taught basically to take care of their husbands,
Mm-hmm.
their kids,
Mm-hmm.
their families, their boss, work late. Everyone's like, oh, I have to work late tonight. I can't go out to dinner. I have to work late tonight. I can't hang with my kids. I have to work late tonight because work is something that we're taught to value. Our ability to produce and be effective and get shizzle done, that's considered important and valuable. But women have been taught to ignore their pleasure for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just right now, it's for thousands of years. So, and there's a high price to that. Uh, Part of the price is, well, if you or I wake up cranky, we can torch a small village. And the opposite is also true. If we wake up and we're thrilled with ourselves and moving into a day that's delicious and filled with wonderful things that enchant us and fulfill us, that's a woman that's contributing everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's a big sea change for a woman to really begin to pay attention to her pleasure. And when she doesn't, there's huge health consequences. 1 out of 4 women experience depression, and only 1 out of 5 women will ever seek treatment. And twice as many women experience depression as men.
And I don't think the health issues just end with the mood destabilization. The net effects of this sort of stress upon stress, where you buy into the belief that you have to get all your work done before you can play,
Yeah.
which was certainly a program that I was instilled with growing up.
Yeah.
Definitely has detrimental effects, which is one of the reasons why I want you to read this book, because you're women who are trying to live in the flow of your hormonal chemistry. You're trying to keep your menstruation healthy. You're trying to optimize your fertility. You're trying to sail through a gorgeous perimenopause. And pursuing pleasure and balancing that in your life and turning up the volume on that is a way for you to protect your health in a big, real way. The studies came out recently about any amount of stress that you have undoes, unfortunately, all your good health promoting habits like good breakfast, good sleep. Stress alone kind of wipes the slate clean and puts you in a deficit from a health standpoint and inflammation standpoint.
And we have never lived in a time where women are more stressed,
right,
more overworked,
exactly,
more run down. And what we do, it's like we flood our body with cortisol, which it's very bad for you. It's the source of inflammation, which is considered the source of all disease.
Yes.
And we can reverse that instantly by choosing pleasure, because it's part of the physiology of who and what a woman is.
And what is the molecule of pleasure from a biochemical standpoint is nitric oxide. It's like the antidote to the venom of cortisol. So the more pleasure you're in, and we're not only talking about orgasmic pleasure here, although that's something that is an important part of the conversation. We're just, I think what you're so brilliant at is getting women to make that inner game shift away from must choose suffering and martyrdom as a default and self-sacrifice to the inner game of how can I choose something that feels fun?
Right. And it takes a lot of discipline.
Yes.
It's so easy to live a mediocre life. It's so simple to be miserable. Do nothing about your pleasure and you will be so miserable so quickly. But it takes a great inner strength. It's why I call it a pleasure revolution. You have to be like a guerrilla pleasure warrior woman, and you have to wake up and you think, okay, I have to be at the office. I have an hour, 20-minute commute. I have to pack the kids' lunches. All right, what can I do for me? And so I make sure, like my morning is locked and loaded. Like I light a candle, I take a few minutes to journal, and then I dance whether I feel like it or not. Right now, I am super into Chance the Rapper. Have you heard him?
I have not.
No, it's like this 24-year-old boy wonder.
Amazing.
That Kanye is kind of supporting, and I think he's about to go to the White House. And so, like, my day has been starting with chants, like, because I try to, I just like to see how my body feels and how it wants to engage. And all of that I'm talking about takes like 9 minutes. And that's while my coffee is dripping into my favorite mug. And I put half and half because why waste your time with low fat milk?
It's not even good for you.
So those few things can reset a woman. And it's up to each of us to begin to do the research on what's going to contribute to our happiness and do it more than once a day.
I think, for me personally, growing up in New England, where the Puritan work ethic is like, in the tap water, the idea that it takes discipline was something, it was a bridge for me. It was like,
Yeah.
I can work at this. I can work at, practicing the tools that you teach about, and I can surround myself with supportive community that all want to, other women who want to make sure that they're
Yeah.
living more pleasurably. And I found that the mesh that you were creating around us was really helpful, because
Yeah.
I think our connection to that reflex to just take care of ourselves is really damaged by all the stuff that, who needs to go into it, all the stuff that we all know about culture
Mm-hmm.
that's not supportive for women. And I think it's really helpful to have something to hook your little nail on before you can get a hand around it, before you can get your arms around it. Like,
And the book is organized to
yes,
teach a woman, and it gives exercises and
yes.
supports a woman on that journey of how do I begin to slightly re-steer my course so I'm getting mine at the end of every day, which is something that I must do if I want to be of service to myself, to others, to the world. So it's a priority. And if you look at it, though, just even the female body, right? Form and function are intertwined. Like, you can't serve a slice of pizza in a teacup, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the body woman was designed with 8,000 nerve endings dedicated to pleasure.
And one of the
That's
things
hot.
it's a lot. It's amazing. You know me, and of course, everyone who is listening to Flow TV knows that I'm a humongous fan of the elegantly complex, exquisitely genius. Couldn't have figured out a better design if anyone tried. Body that is woman, and one of the things that I love that you do in this book is you talk about how getting connected to your pussy in a very practical, tactical way, and
Mm-hmm.
learning your actual physiological orgasmic response and how to create that for yourself
Mm-hmm.
is one of the ways to rewire your brain so that it's easier for you to choose the pleasurable solution or to do
Mm-hmm.
self-care in any other area of your life. And I love the embodiment of that it is not
Mm-hmm.
just this thing that you think, it's this thing that you physically feel that can
Yeah.
transform you.
Yeah. Basically, a woman who owns her pussy
Mm-hmm.
owns her life.
That's
And it
right.
cuts like that.
Yeah.
There's no way that you're going to really stand inside your power by getting another degree at Harvard or Yale.
Mm-hmm.
Where your true power source lies is your connection to your 8,000 nerve endings, to understanding your sensual brilliance, which turns on an access to not just your sense of power, but your sense of your divinity. And once a woman starts to embody that, there is nothing that can stop her. She will go places she cannot even imagine. I mean, if I could hit the New York Times list talking about pussy, you can do anything you want, ladies. So get out there and do anything you want. It's key.
It's and this is where I think I again am so excited for everyone in the Flow community to be reading this book, because you're practicing the main part of our work at Flow, which is cycle syncing, which maps the divine creation matrix onto your 4 phases of your cycle, and bridging that with this conversation of pleasure, with this practice of pleasure, with this deeper connection to your body to your orgasm, to giving yourself the things that make you feel good, that set you up to create whatever it is that you want. That's the ultimate game. That really
Mm-hmm.
is. It isn't ever about the destination is life. It's really about how you're getting there, and how you want to get there as a woman is really by including your body, which is this ultimate source of power and pleasure. Uh, yeah.
And owning your sensual brilliance connects you even more deeply to that level of intuition and
Yes.
your sense of perfect, flawless timing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because if you just you look at the clit, uh, she integrates information from the conscious, the unconscious, the neocortex, the hypothalamus, and the peripheral nervous system. It's almost like a proper little brain
Yep.
that it's even more powerful than trusting your gut, because she wants to take care of you,
Mm.
and she wants you to relate to and listen to that innate sense that we very often overlook as women. For example, you get a job and it looks good on paper, and it'll be the right career step, but you walk into the office and your pussy is going, don't do it. I hate it here. There are fluorescent lights. It's a cube farm. I can't. And you go like, no, we have to take this job. We don't have any other offers. There's nothing happening. It'll be a great next step. And then you take that job, and what's going to happen? You're going to tank. You're going to hate it. You're not going to do well. You're not going to thrive. Whereas if you really trust yourself and say no to what feels wrong, the next thing that happens is what's right appears.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super important to put your key in your own ignition, turn that baby on, and take her down the highway, because that's going to protect you and allow you to invite passengers at the right moment as well.
I love it. Let's talk about um, some of your, if a woman wanted to get started, she's going to order this book, but is there a tool that she could start with today, right now? She's excited by this message that we're sharing.
Mm-hmm.
What is something that a woman could do and practice to help just today to move herself in this direction of pleasure?
I think the first thing she should do is choose 3 pleasurable activities for herself and
Mm-hmm.
insert them into her schedule,
Mm-hmm.
so that today, every woman who's experienced this interview and this dialogue with us is turning on her neurotransmitters and
Mm-hmm.
creating a wash of pleasure in her body, and making some kind of inroad with all of that stress. I think it's important too to create a network of sisterhood, where it's not simply about having a girlfriend you can call and complain to. It's not about neediness or bitching about your life. It's about women who can connect and share pleasurable experiences with one another.
Mm.
That's not common. Most of us have been taught to put ourselves down and to, agree when our girlfriends put themselves down. But for example, if everyone bragged about themselves once today, do you have women who uh, follow up with comments
We
on?
do.
Okay, so if everyone who's watching this places a brag in the comments, not only does that experience take each woman higher, but all of us who have the privilege of reading it, we get a chance to celebrate, and it sets off all of those pleasure hormones inside of our bodies as well. So it's this new conspiracy amongst women of celebration
Right.
rather than self-doubt or self-hatred, which is a really important step to take.
Oh.
So give me a brag.
Oh, let's see. Well, I brag this interview. I love, love, love you and love talking to you about this.
Likewise.
Um, I brag that my daughter's about to turn 2,
Ah,
and that my connection to my desires and actualizing those have been a stronger part of my life lately. I'm coming out of the sort of, I don't know, fog of early motherhood. So I brag that.
A
And I
great brag.
brag that today is my anniversary and I'm going
Oh
out
my
for a hot
gosh.
date with my husband tonight.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. What are you guys doing? Where are you going?
He is taking me to some undisclosed fabulous restaurant and we are going to go have a good time alone.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. So well bragged.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you.
I brag I have a hot date tonight with a new guy.
Amazing.
And we're going to a Thai restaurant that I've never been to. So I'm excited.
I'm excited for you.
Yay. I know it's fun.
Well, obviously, I would love to continue chatting with you for hours and hours on end. But I wanted women to get just a taste of pussy. It's just so much fun. Um, I think every woman should truly, if the New York Times bestseller list doesn't convince you that this is worth a read, then let me convince you that this is worth a read. And let this video convince you that this is a book that is the only roadmap that I'm aware of for a woman to really reclaim a positive, pleasurable orientation to herself and to her life. And that makes it not just unique, but also essential for you to rewire your brain, with all the conditioning that you've received that, has led you to have a life that feels stressful, to have a body that's sort of oriented around disease state, and to have a life that's just not as much fun as you want to be having. So get the book, read the book. And I have one last question for you, Regina, which is what is it that you wish? What's your big desire? You talk a lot about desires. We didn't get a chance to talk enough about that. But what's your big desire for women collectively and individually as we wrap up our juicy conversation? No
Uh,
minor questions here.
my biggest desire has always been to turn women on to their beauty, their power, their magnificence, to the privilege of being a woman,
Mm,
and to connect in sisterhood. It's my conviction that every single woman on this planet is sister to one another.
mm,
And I want to live in a world where when I walk down the street, I see sister when I look into another woman's eyes and she sees sister right back. And what we do and our commitment is to live as big and bright and beautifully as we can. Why? Because our radiance ignites another woman's radiance. And I need you to be as big and bright and powerful and megawatt as you are so that I can be even bigger and brighter, and so on and so on. And we can live in a world where women are loud and proud and creating that new game that we all long for. A pussy friendly planet.
Woo! That's good. Well, you heard it from Mama. Light yourself up, light up your sisters, and I really think giving this important book a read is going to be a really great way for you to begin that process. So, Regina, congratulations on
Thank you.
not just making the list, but also writing such an important, substantive, personal, emotional, fabulous, wonderful book. And for writing it for all of us and for yourself and for all of our daughters. And it's wonderful. And thank you so much for being on my show today and sharing your amazing energy with all of us and inspiring some women here who are ready to take that next step in their lives.
My privilege and my honor. I love the work you do, and I am your biggest fan. So thank you so, so much.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Until next time, take really good care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.